The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're just going to be waiting a couple more minutes for everyone to join, and we will be getting started soon. Thank you for your patience.
Muted.
Just also to get a visual and audio verification, if you can let us know that you can hear us, that would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Unmuted.
Just going to wait a couple more minutes for more people to join in, and we'll get started in about 3 minutes, I'd say. I also wanted to highlight that in the handout session that you can probably see on your screen, there is a document uploaded, which is the Genetech Optex collaboration that was highlighted or featured in the ISJ newsletter that you can take a look. All right, I think we can go ahead and get started for today. Ready, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I'm ready.
Sounds good. So hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today on this webinar where we will help you determine the maturity of your perimeter intrusion detection system. And so my name is Cheryl Stewart and I'm the industry marketing analyst here in Genetech. And as you know, I'll be your moderator for today. And so joining me on this session are our two presenters, David Leno, who's our airport practice lead in Genetech. Hi, David.
Hello, everyone.
And John Marco, who's the Director of Marketing in Optex for North America. Hi, John. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello.
And now, before I hand this session over to the presenters, I also wanted to remind you that if you have any questions at all for us during the session, you can enter them in the question dialog box here you see on the right-hand side of your screen, and we will get to those questions at the Q&A session that we have planned at the end. Okay, now let's look at the agenda for today in terms of what to expect from this presentation. Well, we first intend to help you better understand where you are in terms of the maturity of your perimeter intrusion detection system. And then in the second section, once you've understood where you are in terms of maturity, we want to help you figure out where you want to go with it by highlighting key features that you should look out for when making those decisions. And in the last part of the presentation, we want to help you determine how you can get there in terms of the state of your PID system that you have essentially envisioned for your facility. And so with that, let's begin. All right, now in order for you to understand where you are in terms of maturity, I thought it would be really useful to first walk you through how perimeter intrusion detection systems started and how it has evolved over the years into what we know now today. John, I know you have tons of experience in this area. Could you maybe walk us through what you've seen changed since the start of perimeter security?
Sure. At the beginning, there's manual protection, such as natural barricades like rivers, trees, and fences with guards monitoring. So then it evolved into sensors. So that came the addition of sensors like that were paired with people monitoring intrusions, resulting in undetected threats. Systems then evolved into multiple sensors for different methods of tracking to reduce vulnerabilities paired with people monitoring. Then came integration of different sensor systems, reducing false alarms, consolidating all devices on one platform. And lastly, unification of all sensors under a single visualization pane paired with automated guidance to responses. Next slide. So there are threats and vulnerabilities your facilities are exposed to. Is your system designed proper? Performance optimization? Is your system adding value? Are you getting cost savings? Are you meeting your specifications within your budget? So your system maturity grows with your evolving needs. So are there new regulations and compliance requirements? Too many systems to manage causing inefficiencies? Increased number of intrusions? Sensor accuracy needs to be heightened? Is there a need for standardization across facilities? And false nuisance alarms getting out of control? So now you have to look. Now you have to take advantage. I'm sorry. You have to figure out where you are in your maturity assessment. So, using this chart, you can find where you are. So, are you at level 1? Are you relying on guards to monitor physical perimeter for your fence line? Are you at level 2? Are you relying on alarm systems or CCTV systems to determine if an intrusion has occurred? Level 3, are you relying on multiple standalone intrusion detection systems like radar, laser, video, or fence to monitor threats? Or are you at level 4? Are you relying on integrating multiple PID systems to validate intrusions with high operation expenses? Or are you at level 5? Are you relying on unified security system that brings together multiple systems and sensors that guides operators in responses under one platform.
Thanks, John. I think this visualization here that you showcase is a really interesting way for our end users, at least on this call, to kind of gauge where they are in terms of all these different levels of their maturity. And I thought that that when you took us through the evolution path, that was really interesting, at least for me, to be able to see how perimeter intrusion detection systems advanced to what it is today, where people as well as systems are working more and more closely together to achieve greater levels of maturity. Let's see. And so now moving on into the next section, now that you've seen the maturity framework to determine where you are on that scale, let's first try to understand the typical challenges that are faced by critical infrastructure that you can potentially resonate with. And so, by knowing that, you'll be able to figure out where you stand accordingly as that pyramid framework that John showcased just now. David, if you don't mind, would you mind taking us through some challenges that you commonly see in the industry for critical infrastructure, for example?
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. Thanks, John. So I suspect a number of you on the line today would have been yet deploying a number of perimeter intrusion detection systems for different types of facilities, whereas it is really building an industrial, energy production, critical infrastructure, whatever you want to call it, or whatever your specific use case is. Probably this image will resonate in a way. So a fence line with sensors, different buildings, different areas that you want to cover with a different level of severity and criticality and what you're trying to protect. Now, if you've been through that, you've already figured out that the way to just select the right sensor for one location is already not an easy way. So that's just maybe just reflecting on you on where you have been yet yourself on the journey. Now, if we look at this, we could identify a number of challenges. If we can keep 3 of those challenges, Cheryl, if you want to move to the next slides, I would say that 3 of the top challenges that keep on coming back are those ones. The first one is the piecemeal approach. So it's the fact that technologies are being deployed one after the other, so in a very disconnected fashion, and they are being deployed as new risks occur or as technology becomes available. Then the second challenge is the fact that many don't realize the actual set of consequences of intrusions, maybe sometimes in areas which don't look that critical, and the risk can be in terms of security or safety or reputation damage. And lastly, the traditional first biggest issue in intrusion detection is nuisance alarm. So false alarms, false positive as well as false negative. And incidentally, as you add more systems and more sensors, then you create more data and you create most possibly more false alarms. So really 3 issues that should be top of mind when you look at deploying a new system or you're looking at improving your existing system. Now, if you want to look at making the journey from one level to the other, the first important thing to realize is that it's never too late, right? It's never too late to do the few things that are important for you to be able to navigate in that pyramid. What we also want to say there is that it's not that everyone has to make a journey from initial to optimized or from bottom to the tip of the pyramid. It's more that you have to make sure that currently what you want to achieve in terms of protection is really supported by tangible systems and process that you have put in place. So if you want to embark or stay flexible, if you want to make sure you will be able moving forward to embrace this and upgrade your system, this is what we say you should be doing. If you want to move to the next slide, Cheryl. And what we say essentially is that when you now consider an upgrade or a new system, you should first and foremost stay free. So you should stay free to update and to upgrade. So you should pick a platform and solutions which are open enough for you to be connected and interconnected. In other words, look at a system that will keep you on the digitization journey that everyone is going through. So that's how I would really prioritize the activities you should conduct if you want to stay free.
Cool. Thanks, David. Thanks for that, and also thanks for highlighting the typical challenges, especially you know, the ones that you mentioned, false and nuisance alarms. We actually see that happening a lot because it's one of the main complaints from end users from these types of industries, as you mentioned. And you know, based on reports that I've seen, 98% of alarms that occur are either false or nuisance alarms. So customers, they're constantly looking for a solution that would help them, you know, reduce that number, which will ultimately help them save money as well as save time. And with that said,
Yep.
this leads us to our next section in terms of, you know, where you want to go with your perimeter intrusion detection system, you know, and what are the types of issues that you would like to resolve as per the ones that David mentioned just now. Now that, you know, we've walked you through to better understand where you are in terms of your maturity, you'll need to figure out where you want to go by being able to understand what to look for in terms of before you make those types of decisions. David, I'll pass it back to you here. If you don't mind taking us through some key features that you think they should look for when investing in a perimeter intrusion detection system.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. So obviously, today we want to look at, you know, the most modern way and most efficient ways of implementing and upgrading intrusion systems. So if we reflect back on the three issues we picked as being the three typical issues of our customers, which are false alarms, which is the side effect of multi-tech, and which is sometimes the lack of understanding of the risk associated to intrusions, we here want to respond to those three main challenges with the 5 features that we feel should be implemented by any users, and that actually no matter where you actually are in the pyramid. So what we see people expect today naturally from any intrusion system is first the ability to track, target, or intrusion points on a map, right? Because that's the first and the best way for you to know where things are happening or possibly going wrong. The second thing which everyone expects is that if an intrusion is detected, is that the corresponding camera is going to be displayed seamlessly and automatically. So it's the ability for the system to select the right camera and toggle between camera as the target is moving. The next point is the ability to freely choose the sensors as the location would impose it. So a number of names of technologies are showcased there. There are more than that, but the system should simply make it possible to adopt new technologies. The point number 4 really has to do with that challenge we mentioned, which is the number of false alarms, especially when you use multiple technologies. And it's complicated, but you can overcome that challenge. And one of the ways to use what we'd call the automatic target fusion, which I will expose in a while, which will, in a very smart way, correlate data from the different systems. And lastly, for you to understand actually the risk and the consequences of intrusions taking place, it's important to have the tools so you can go backward and play back and review and investigate the different situations where intrusion has been detected. So so-called investigation tasks. So I'll go now quickly through those 5 items, and you'll see some animations or pictures to illustrate those. The first one is really, I would say, obvious and seamless. It's the ability to track objects on a map. So you see here the small avatar of a person down in the green zone. The animation will reboot in a second. So seeing zones as you want to have them, a zone can be a physical zone or a logical zone, an operational zone. And those zones will have all sorts of logics to them as far as arming, disarming them. So you see here the object moving, and you see how the unification plays by adding camera and tracking to the motion. So number one, simply being able to track intrusion points or targets on a map. The number two is the ability to, and as you would expect, the ability for the system to show the right camera at the right moment, right? Another typical question, which is, I've put so many cameras out there, how am I supposed to know which camera I should be monitoring now? Well, the system is going to tell you what camera to monitor. The system is correlating all information, all data, that is data from intrusion sensors and also data from cameras. And the system is going to pick the right camera, control the camera, and most importantly, as you will see just now happening, toggle from one camera to the other as a camera is offering a better view of the scene. And this is going to happen in very few seconds. All right. Now the point number three, that's okay, that's all right, that's all right. I think it went through a few times. The investigation task, so point number three. So the investigation task is the tool for you to understand what happened. So create statistics, just sit back and look at the situation, create your own KPIs. Where did intrusion occur? What type of intrusion happened in different zones? Single out false alarms. So you probably go on site and fix the sensor or fix the technology or adapt the configuration. So being able to go back in time and understand what occurred is absolutely critical. And you may also there figure that what you thought was a small incident or an intrusion in a not so important area was actually very critical for the rest of the operations. Then we move to the next point, which is so automated target fusion. So it's really amazing to see it unfolding in real life. When in a control center, you see that 1, 2, 3, 4 different systems or sensors are sending events to the operator. Operator can go mad very quickly, and what you see in most cases is people switch off the intrusion systems. They switch them off because they are just a pollution to operation. They cause too many false alarms, and the more you add systems, the more you're going to create false alarms. So it's very, very, very critical to limit that creation of false alarms. What we do here is, if you imagine now device 1 and device 2 are overlapping, and they, for a moment, they're going to see the same object moving, invariably both systems will create an alarm. So the operator or the operators will believe we have 2 alarms to manage, 2 incidents, where in reality it's just 2 different sets of data being projected. So there it's important to have an abstraction layer where the system is intelligent enough to appreciate that those data, while they are a bit different, they actually are corresponding to the same intrusion, to the same incident. And that's what a system that is smart enough should be doing. And I think we are over with this. And yeah, so while I mentioned, we're adding always more technologies, there is actually a reason why we're adding always more technologies. It's because they become available and they respond to very unique use cases. So it would be interesting, John, to hear from you how broad your portfolio has become over time.
Yeah, and under Optex, we've been in business for over 40 years, so we have a number of different type of sensor technologies that are fully supported under this system. So we have the ability now to take advantage of multiple sensing technologies from Optex, such as the 3D thermal sensor, which is going to give you long distance volumetric coverage. It's going to give you the background temperature sensing versus the body temperature, or a photoelectric sensor, which is going to give you that spot boundary to long distance type of trigger type of detection that you're looking for. So if you wanted to create like a tripwire type of application, this is the perfect type of technology for that. And then we also have laser sensors, LiDAR sensors, ranging from short range, indoor, outdoor, to long range, indoor and outdoor. So having the ability to detect an object's time of flight, so the object's size, speed, and distance data. So that information is readily detected through this sensor, or your fiber optic sensor, which is again for long distance vibration type of sensing on fence lines, and of course the long range radar sensor as well. So if you have these long volumetric type of distance areas where you need protection under Optex, you have the ability to take advantage of any of these technologies. So of course, with all these technologies, you never want to rely on just one sensor technology. We always recommend to take the pros and cons of each sensor technology and pair them together. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to create this, what we call a double knock or a triple knock. And so if you can go to the next slide, I can explain what that is. So we can now reduce nuisance and false alarms by creating what we call a double knock. So taking two forms of sensing technology and pairing them together to create a verified alarm. So you can do this in two ways. So you can have like an and/or. So if one sensor goes off, the other one doesn't, you hold the alarm. If both go triggered, then you have a verified alarm. And you can also layer those types of sensor technologies as well. So you can have like a layered 1, 2, 3, 4 to elevate your response and your actions. So David, maybe you can explain how that's accomplished within RSA.
Yep, thanks, John. So indeed, to put a name to it, so within the Genetec portfolio and the Security Center application, there is one module that's actually responsible to aggregate and manage all those intrusion devices. That's the RSA Restricted Security Area Surveillance module. And what it does is it effectively does two major things. One is it connects to all those different sensors, so that all the events, alarms, and additional attributes of the target can be ingested by Security Center. And then second, it unifies the information with the rest of the data available, adding to it all the features such as zone creation, arming, disarming of zones based on different criteria, the target fusion, as we discussed earlier, and the ability to go back into the past and investigate intrusion incidents. So that's the perimeter of the feature of the RSA module. And most importantly, what it does is it really leverages the value of unification of the different technologies over the more simple integration. And I think it's actually worthwhile that I would spend just a few minutes on establishing again here the difference between integration and unification. And the reality of what it means of the difference is quite simple. When you talk about integration, you talk about connecting the two systems which were not designed or developed to be talking to each other, right? You just forcefully create that communication. In the world of unification, the two backend systems were developed to talk to each other. So they even ideally share the same database, the same means of communications bottom up. So they're meant to communicate. What does that mean? It means that when you do so, when you develop things in parallel with the purpose of having them to play together, then you're going to make sure that you get the maximum performance, the maximum reliability, and the maximum level of features, a coherent feature through the entire system. And not to forget some nice collateral benefits. If it's a unified solution, you got a single interface, both for configuration and for operation. So instead of having 3, 4, 5 disparate interfaces, you got one, so less training, for installation commissioning, less training for maintenance, less training for operator. And that's the way we feel we can collectively create most value for the customer. And that's also where we create an actual step in our maturity scheme from integration to unification.
Thanks, David. For the audience, I know that there was a lot of information that was shared during this particular section. David, he started off with highlighting some key features to look out for. John then continued by emphasizing the importance of a system that's able to bring together different types of sensors all on a single platform. And he also highlighted the pros and cons of each of these different sensors and explained. David then finished by introducing the Genetec Security Center Restricted Security Area Surveillance module, which is a platform that is able to bring together all of these different sensors under a single visualization pane. And lastly, he finished with the key differences between an integrated system like a PSIM compared to a truly unified system or platform. Now that you've understood where you are in terms of your maturity and you figured out some of the key things that you want to look for in a system, now it's time to determine how you want to achieve that by working with trusted partners that you're able to grow with wherever you are in terms of your maturity. And so we understand that investing in a new security platform is a long process, and we're here to assist you in that journey to provide you with the right information for you to make the best and most informed decision. I wanted to mention Optex. They've been a leader in the sensor manufacturing industry for over 40 years, with a large range of sensors in their portfolio. And Genetec, we've been the pioneers and leaders of the IP security scene since we were founded in 1997. And so we consider ourselves to be thought leaders in the area, and together we hope to build a long-term partnership with our customers like yourselves to be seen as trusted advisors in terms of safeguarding your facility from multiple different types of intrusions that we're facing now, whether it's a physical as well as cyber types of threats. And now, when we look at the Genetec Optex partnership that we have, there are three key points that really make our collaborative relationship stand out. The first one is our direct integration with the large variety of Optex sensors. And so there's also to mention, there's no third-party involvement here, so it's direct integration. The second is our unique collaboration with Optex on a vertical wall feature, which David and John will highlight in more detail shortly in the next section. And finally, the third point is a holistic approach to from incident identification to resolution, from using data attained from the Optex sensors to visualizing it on a map in Security Center to our collaborative decision-making tool, Mission Control, that David will highlight later on, that is able to guide operators in terms of their responses. So you have a 360 essentially resolution process from the beginning till the end. John, I'm going to pass it back to you. If you could maybe highlight some different sensors that are available from Optex that might be of interest of facilities of different types of maturity levels.
Yeah, so no matter where you are in your maturity journey, we have sensors that meet your level of sensing. So whether you're in an entry level where you have a basic application, short range, you just want an alarm signal at a low cost, we have a ton of sensors in this range. And then when you scale up, you go to the premium level, we have additional features, like pet tolerance or other advanced settings for like masking or sensing changes that you want in different areas. So we have high performing sensors in that premium area. And then when you get up to the Premium Plus, this is where you're getting into a high level application that require long distances or volumetric sensing. So that would be like our Red Wall series or our Photo Beam series, where you can get long distance, again, volumetric or tripwire type of detection. And of course, when we get into the professional level, this is where for the real extreme high-end security. So when you have unique requirements, you want to customize your object size detection or sensitivity. You have different power options or distances. we have the red scan series here. And so I'm going to highlight the red scan series here so that we can talk about how it relates to this discussion. So RSA allows you to qualify these threats in multiple senses using our laser sensor. So 75% of our applications are in vertical form. So you can see here around the fence line area and long distances, we have the ability to cover vertical areas like in this way, where you can pair our detection zones with your cameras and have it managed directly in RSA, and then having all the feature-rich benefits, of course. Next slide. So, of course, there's a bunch of industry user cases for this, not only in vertical, but also in horizontal. So, again, we do a ton of fence line protection areas for airports, utilities, critical infrastructure. And when you get inside indoor and outdoor, we do a ton of building and security protection, both in a horizontal plane or a vertical plane. And, of course, rooftops. So rooftops are very unique areas of detection for us. So you can see the multiple areas of applications we have in multiple industries. But for vertical, this is, again, as I mentioned, it's 75% of our applications. So David, maybe you can talk a little bit about the vertical side of this.
Yeah, John, thanks for that. And I think we're here to share content with you, but allow us to have this little moment of pride for this particular feature, which really is the most visible aspect of the cooperation between Optex and Genetec. That's the so-called vertical mode feature. And actually, it started with something very simple. As John stated, 75% of the projects actually involve a vertical fence line and a vertical a virtual wall used with created with a laser. And we figured that there was no simple way available to date on the market to manage and take really benefit of vertical wall created by laser beams. So we really co-created that feature. And now we're a bit further in the video with the report. But if we let this go back, or to go back to the beginning, maybe, Sharia, just to expose in a very simple way what it does is it's a way for us to make it possible for the admin and the operator to configure specific vertical zones. And here, as you can see, it's a screen and a door. So to the left, it's the configuration side. To the right, it's the operator side. So really, on the camera, on the video feed, you will see masks in a vertical way, and those masks will cover specific areas that you want to protect. And whenever somebody will interact with the fence or a building or a server rack, for example, every time somebody is going to interact with a specific server at a specific height, then we will effectively know which server is being tempered as it occurred, and we will be able to, for example, send or move a PTZ camera to that exact specific location. So it gives us a level of granularity and a level of flexibility which really hasn't been seen before. And I think, John, it's fair to say that we see a lot of traction and obvious application, especially in the energy sector. And that's really a place where we believe the benefit of that specific feature is very well understood. And obviously, I mean, we won't go into details of the configuration of the operation of that specific feature, but we will be available after that, of course, to discuss that more in details. And yeah, and the way it works, as said, is really totally easy. We simply link a specific camera to an area which has to be protected using that specific feature, create the zone on the camera itself. So you really just have to draw the zones as you see it required, create those overlay, and as somebody now goes pass through any of the windows, where inside out or from the outside toward the inside, in that case, we will get an information. We'll be able to drive the operations as required. So that's a very simple and yet spectacular feature. And now to complete this, so of the three topics we had to unpack, the last one being the incident resolution, and this one is very important because what we see and what we hear is we hear a lot of proposition from the market to help you to detect when you're in trouble. So all those systems will tell you you're in trouble. And it's great to know that you're in trouble. And maybe those systems will even tell you you're in trouble about where. So it's great to know you're in trouble about where. But we thought it's even better if we can tell you, oh, there is something wrong. So now we're going to guide you through the resolution until you're back to normal. So we don't just project the issue, but we're gonna hold the operator down to the moment where things will be back again to a normal situation. So what are the different steps? First step is detecting. So the different sensors will collect data. We ingest those data, and we make sense of them. We filter them, we correlate them, we trash some of them, false alarms, we aggregate some, and then we realize there is a situation. We create situational awareness. So when we believe it's solid enough as an information, we then give visual verification, select the right camera, hand over automatically from one camera to the other, auto track the target so the operator knows for sure what is going on. And then it's about managing it. So now you know you're in trouble. You know something has been detected. Now you see even possibly the issue. Now you need to manage it. So that's this last pillar, which it's fine, Sharon. This last pillar. Yeah, it's okay. You could have you might have listed there. So this last pillar is the management of the situation or of the incident. In our lingo, it's the mission control module. So the component who's gonna guide operator response. And mission control essentially does two things. One, create workflows, so it automates the system behavior. And second, it helps the operator attend the incident in a reasonable way, thanks to a digitized and guided standard operating procedure. So if a number of things happen, then the system is going to help the operator to perform tasks, asking questions, asking for verification, until the moment where actions can be enforced and hopefully the case closed. And you see here how this all unfolds by opening windows where you ask questions, by opening cameras, live or playback. So at any given point in time, you get the right information protected so you can take the right decision. So very importantly, it's good to have sensors that bombards you with data. Very good. It's better to be able to filter them, avoid false alarm, and it's good to be able to project the fact that there is an alarm and to confirm it. And then it's even better if you can actually resolve the incident as it occurs. So yeah, of all of this, really the purpose of this was to guide you through that journey of improving the intrusion detection systems. But then it's also a moment for us to reflect on what we're doing jointly with Optex. So here, this slide that exposes some of the unique value we jointly deliver. And if you look at it from a system perspective, so the obvious features are a single solution, a single package solution, hardware, software that will work, that you will be able to use as an operator to receive event, but also control, so arm, disarm, zone through a map interface for simple operations. It's a direct integration between the software and the hardware. So it's the two industrials talking to each other, I should say, on a daily basis, if not more, making sure the integration is working, and we take responsibility in this to work. So there is no additional module or additional bits and pieces you need to fetch to get it to work. This is working. Then the next thing is obviously it's a unified approach, and more so in the case of Optex. So we do interface with, I guess, all Optex products by now. And I'm sorry if I'm missing one, but the entire portfolio is supported. So using Security Center enables you to consume all the great sensors and gives you all the flexibility to adopt sensors as the topology really forces you to do so. And then, as said before, it's all packaged, so own solution. You have to see it as an end-to-end solution, end-to-end not as in locked into it, but end-to-end as in guaranteed feature set and performance. And finally, we want to reduce the running cost of your install, both on the hardware front and the software front. So not only we have a number of features and systems to control the health of the system, but also to make sure it behaves properly over time, and ways to add device and add technologies as you go. So hopefully a smooth journey for you as you need to improve your perimeter system.
Thanks, David. I don't know, John, if do you have anything else to add in terms, of the Genetec Optex relationship that you might want to add here that you think that should be featured or showcased?
Yeah, I've had some experience with a number of projects in the last year, 2 years, and with our partnership, and it's been really smooth. And the ability to address certain things on a development level have been really key. So we've had customers saying, yeah, we would like to see these features based on our specifications, and your team has delivered over and over again. So and the roadmap is really a really good thing to talk about as a good transition, so we can jump right over here.
Yeah, thanks, John, for that. So there are plenty of things that obviously are there already, as you've seen just before, but we have also a pretty strong roadmap. And I think the key to this is, of course, we guarantee that the maintenance of the existing drivers and the existing compatibility with the present product. But we're trying to really, maximize this journey. And what we do is we really try to actually be compatible to products that don't necessarily exist yet, or I should say are not formally released yet. And yes, we do embrace that journey. And yeah, I think as we speak right now, our development is going very fast into completing further drivers. And incidentally, I'm not sure I have seen that device yet on the market. John, anything you want to mention there?
Yeah, so this is news for everybody. So this is our new laser sensor. It's called the RedScan Pro, and we will be announcing this in January. So this product is to come in January. And the nice part about this is that it will be out of the box integrated with RSA 4.0.
Yeah, so I think we just witnessed a world premiere here, and in any case, a very nice Easter egg. So thanks for that, John. And we're obviously looking forward to this feature. To this product. We can't disclose much just now and there, but I think you should all stay tuned. This is going to be absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
features looking forward to that.
You guys are gonna love it. It's a lot of enhancements to the original RedScan.
So next to this, while we're maintaining that compatibility yeah, on the roadmap, I just wanted to mention two other things that are going to be available soon enough. One is RSA is growing, and we are adding really different, totally different sets of features, such as the threat score engine. So we're going an additional mile as far as correlating information, understanding information in the backend. So taking the data and then making sense of the data to inform the operator of the severity of a situation. And to that end, we're also making over time improvement in the ergonomic of the product, and we'll make it always simpler to operate for the first responders.
And David, if you could summarize everything for us here on this slide.
Yeah, really, as a conclusion, I just want to reflect back on one of the first slides we saw earlier presented by John. So protecting a critical infrastructure is a task, right? It involves a number of different steps, starting by threat assessment, vulnerability assessment, which are conducted by specialists. And we know it is very specific on a per vertical, per type of install basis. So none of us has those abilities. But once you have that threat assessment, vulnerability assessment, we are here to help figuring out the products and processes to actually put in place the right countermeasures, the right detection measures, and make sure you're doing right now, and most importantly, make sure that you can adapt as your requirement will evolve over time, or as new threats are actually happening over time. So with that, I just want to say thank you, John, and thanks, Cheryl, for hosting this.
Yes, thank you, David, and thank you, Cheryl, for having us.
No problem. Thank you, guys. I thought it was an excellent presentation. I learned a lot for sure. I hope the audience have as well. We did receive a couple of questions from the audience that I will push to you guys to. Let's just go ahead into the Q&A. Let's see. First question we have is from Damien. He's asking, how is Genetec ensuring its resellers are trained on these types of new updates? I guess this is a question for David.
Yeah, so Damien, that's a good question, and we don't know each other, so I don't know how much you're close to the Genetec portfolio. But and for those who haven't seen it before, Genetec used to be used to do VMSs, so really strictly video management software. Meanwhile, we have a huge portfolio with a couple of dozens of different products. So keeping up to date with all the products and each individual update is a challenge. There's no doubt about that, but we are implementing systems to make this easier. And most importantly, right now, we are implementing a learning management system. So beside the training and certification system that you know, which is formal classroom training and certification, we also do more and more online, especially for the more simpler things, such as the RSA would be in the great scheme of the Genetec products. And we will be releasing in a couple of weeks online trainings that you can take with self-service content on things such as RSA, and then obviously on a quarterly basis, which is pretty much the release cycle of RSA, we will inform you with new features, release notes, and additions to the training material if required. So I suppose quite a lot is available as we speak right now.
Thanks, David. We also have another question from Cal, and he's wondering if are there any Genetec licensing requirements for each of these different Optex sensors?
There are. Indeed, the way RSA is built and the way the licensing works is there are licenses on a per sensor basis and on a per sensor type basis. So, for instance, the fiber. So every system such as a PIDS, buried cables, so really fans, long distance fan systems would count as one license. So it's one system really per site. If you look at the radar, it's one license per radar head. And if it is a laser, for instance, it's one license per laser. So if you'd have 50 lasers, it would be 50 laser licenses. But and obviously the license costs are reflecting the value of the underlying sensor. So there should be no great complication there.
Thanks, David. This question is for you, John. In terms of your customers' experience, how drastic do you think is the improvement in terms of false alarms when customers double or triple knock? Do you think it's a dramatic amount, or has it just improved by a little bit?
It's dramatic. It's very dramatic. As I mentioned in the presentation, not one sensor technology is going to get you to where you're going to be, and especially in an outdoor environment where the environment's changing constantly. We do have sites that rely on one sensor, and they do perform fairly well. But it is recommended to always have two forms of sensing. It could be from using our laser sensor with pairing it with, say, a video analytics to give you some video motion detection, and also with you can use PIR with video as well, or use PIR and laser, or you can mix and match depending on your environment. So that's what we try to preach is use the two forms of sensing where applicable, depending on your environment.
I just want to also note something there is obviously the combination of multiple technologies is a vital tool for us all to reduce false alarms, but it also starts by the performance of each individual system and sensor, right? Yeah. And I just want to mention there a very strong example which we together did in the transportation area. So a customer running a subway, a metro system, wanted to deploy a sensor to detect if somebody would go in the tunnels between the stations. And the expectation of the customer was 0 false alarm. And 0 false alarm is something where I normally would have said, let's run away from the specification because you cannot do 0 false alarm.
It's not really.
And yeah, and but then the tests were conducted, and over time, using the laser, the Optex lasers, the customer actually reached 0 false alarm over, and I don't remember now the time during it was monitored, but it was like several weeks or several months, I don't remember. So the performance of the sensor themselves can be really, really amazing.
Cool. I also have a question regarding the vertical mode. I know that during our presentation, we talked a lot about using the vertical mode in critical infrastructure or airports. Do you see it being used in other types of industries, for example, in banking or maybe retail, for example?
Absolutely. So, I can comment on this. We have quite a few retail vertical applications with Genetec right now. And, so it could be on the outdoor, without being too specific of the application, but it is outdoors. It's not fence line related. But, we see a lot of opportunities using vertical, both for indoor and outdoor as well. But so for retail, you're doing quite a few things that we specialize in. So that's, intrusion, asset protection, and presence sensing. So intrusion, of course, your standard burglary alarm that you want to trigger, a system. But then there's the presence sensing. So presence meaning, is this person in an area where I don't want them to be, right? Is this person putting something in an area where I don't want them to put something? So the transfer of assets is also critical. So asset protection, it's really important, and that's why I love RSA, because it's the restricted security area is what it stands for. But for asset protection, you're creating a restricted security area, so you're protecting what's in that area. So we have a number of large retail, or I would say large companies that have a lot of product that use this system in vertical. And I definitely see a lot of impact in the data center world. We do a ton of data center applications, and that is not only in vertical but also horizontal. So the ability to engulf an area on a horizontal plane and a vertical plane. We share a lot of joint customers in that space.
That's great. Thanks, John. I think this question is more towards for David. Here's a question. He's asking, combining multiple sensors, is it done at the device side or the Genetec side?
Yeah, so it could be that a sensor would have a number of different technology built in. That could be, and I suspect it's the way forward for a number of occasions. But in the scale of things, most of the sensor are single tech. And then the multi-tech combination is really done in the software, so in Security Center and in RSA, and that's where we leverage data from different sensors and then make sense of them.
Got it. I know, John, you mentioned retail. I think we have another question regarding retail coming in. Someone's asking, can this system be used for jump detection in busy retail environments? Whether John or Dave.
Yeah, so we have, there's two examples of that. So you say jumping?
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a few applications where we're detecting people jumping turnstiles. Okay, so it gives you that vertical line. So as soon as an object or a person gets crossed into that line, that vertical area, we will be able to detect that. And in some cases, we have on the laser sensor, we have an object throw-in mode. So that's a built-in analytics of the sensor that allows us to detect objects being thrown at different distances. So that's, in a retail environment, is very, very important. So we also have a couple of banking customers that are using that as well. And then I know there's an airport in Europe that's using it to detect people in an immigration area throwing passports. So you talk about false alarms. That particular application is running at a less than 2% false alarm rate. So we're highly effective, and it's using Genetec.
Great. Thanks, John. I think that is all the questions we have so far. If you have any more questions, we will be staying on the line for the next couple of minutes, but I know that we are at the hour of our time for the webinar. So if you have any more questions, feel free to send them over to us and we will be here. But if not, feel free to drop off as well. Thank you all for joining us today for this webinar. Thank you again, John, for being here. Thanks, David, as well. We're happy that you guys were taking the time to join us too. Have a good afternoon or evening to some of you. If not, take care. Stay healthy, stay safe.
Take care.
Thank you all. Thanks, Sherry. Thanks, John. Bye-bye.
Shall I stay on?
I think we're good. I don't see any more questions coming in, but I think you can drop off now and I will stay here for a couple of minutes.
I can hang out for a little bit.
Sure. I think we're good, John. I'm gonna end the session and that's about it. I think the attendees have mostly left. We did great. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.